Geopolitical tensions in Eastern Europe are once again sharply escalating. In a move widely viewed as a strong signal in response to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict, the United States has officially deployed its cavalry combat units to Poland. These troops are not just a symbol of NATO solidarity, but a strategic move in anticipation of serious threats looming over the region. This deployment comes amid intelligence reports that the Russian military is increasing its combat readiness along Ukraine's eastern border, while also bolstering its military presence in Belarus, an area that directly borders Poland and Lithuania. The troops sent by the United States are elements of the 1st Cavalry Division, an elite military unit known for its high mobility, heavy firepower, and rapid response capabilities in diverse terrain. The unit is supported by armored combat vehicles like the M1 Abrams tank, Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, and aerial support from AH-64 Apache attack helicopters. Operation Steel Shield 2025, designed to enhance NATO troop interoperability and test combat readiness in full-scale invasion scenarios. More than 8,000 combined personnel from Poland, the US, the UK, Germany, and the Baltic states are participating in the drill. Brigadier General Richard McNamara, commander of U.S. forces in Eastern Europe, stated during a press conference at the Drałsko-Pomorskie military base in Poland, "Our presence here is not just another routine exercise. It's a real commitment to defend our allies from threats originating in the east." The U.S. deployment comes as Russia intensifies military aggression in the Donetsk and Kharkiv regions. Reports from the battlefield indicate a large concentration of Russian artillery and waves of drone strikes targeting Ukrainian territories near the borders with Poland and Slovakia. Russian cruise missiles have even approached Polish border zones, triggering air raid sirens in nearby cities. The Russian Ministry of Defense labeled NATO's moves as provocations and violations of regional security. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov declared that Russia would respond to any threats to its national security appropriately and decisively. As a NATO member, state bordering Ukraine and Belarus, Poland plays a strategic role in countering Russian threats. The Polish government has welcomed the presence of U.S. troops, stating that this military cooperation is a core part of NATO's collective defense, as guaranteed by Article 5 of the alliance. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki stated, "We will not bow to Russian pressure. The presence of Allied troops on our soil is proof that Europe is not alone in facing tyranny." Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Poland has significantly increased its military budget. It has accelerated the procurement of U.S. Patriot missile defense systems, German Leopard tanks, and HIMARS medium-range missile systems. The joint U.S.-Polish military drills simulate scenarios involving large-scale invasions from the east. The simulation includes deterring ballistic missile attacks, large river crossing operations, destruction of enemy armored units, medical evacuations under active combat conditions, night operations using thermal surveillance systems. In addition, cyber units from both countries are involved to counter non-conventional threats, such as cyber attacks aimed at disabling NATO's communications and logistics networks. The United Nations and European Union have expressed deep concern over the growing tensions in Eastern Europe. Neutral countries like Switzerland and Austria are calling for de-escalation and open dialogue between NATO and Russia to prevent a wider conflict. Conversely, Baltic countries like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania fully support the U.S. deployment in Poland. They cite their historical experiences under Soviet occupation as a key reason why NATO must maintain a strong military posture. The Ukrainian government has welcomed NATO's military drills in Poland. President Volodymyr Zelensky called the move a moral and strategic shield for the Ukrainian people. However, he also emphasized that Ukraine still urgently needs logistical support, advanced weaponry, and air defense systems to withstand relentless Russian attacks. "We're not only fighting for our homeland, but also for Europe's long-term stability. Every piece of military support from our allies is an investment in peace," Zelensky said. Military analysts predict that tensions will likely continue to rise through the winter of 2025. Russian forces are expected to intensify pressure on Ukraine before the snow season begins, while NATO will likely reinforce its Eastern European presence as a strategic deterrent. Some of the worst-case scenarios include Russian missile strikes on NATO military bases in Poland, massive cyber attacks on European energy infrastructure, conflict expansion into Moldova or the Baltic states. Despite these concerns, diplomats from major global powers are still hopeful that peaceful solutions can be achieved through diplomatic channels. The joint military exercises between the US cavalry forces and Polish military are far more than just a training operation. They are a powerful message to Russia and the world that NATO will not stand idle in the face of military aggression threatening regional peace. The world now holds its breath, waiting to see whether this will mark the beginning of a broader conflict or serve as a turning point toward peaceful de-escalation. In a calculated and strategic move, the United States 1st Cavalry Division has officially arrived in Poland to carry out a joint military exercise with the Polish Armed Forces and other NATO allies. This deployment is part of a collective effort to strengthen NATO's eastern flank and send a strong signal to Russia, which continues to expand its military threats toward Ukraine and Eastern Europe. The 1st Cavalry Division, known as the 1st Team, is an elite U.S. military unit based in Fort Cavazos, Texas. They arrived in Poland with full equipment, including heavy combat vehicles such as M1A2 Abrams tanks, Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, and M109 Paladin self-propelled artillery. This move is considered a direct response to the increasing tensions and Russian military activities near the Ukrainian border, which have been under global scrutiny since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began in 2022. Russia continues to maintain a massive military presence near the Ukrainian border, particularly in Belarus and the Belgorod region. US and NATO military intelligence have reported significant increases in logistical activity, deployment of short-range Iskander ballistic missiles, and intensified Russian air drills aimed at provocation. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed the U.S. troop presence in Poland, stating that support from allies is essential to defending Ukraine's independence and sovereignty. The arrival of the 1st Cavalry Division in Poland strengthens our hope that the world is not standing idle in the face of aggression. This is not just about Ukraine. It's about the stability of Europe, Zelensky said via his official Telegram channel. Key drills in this joint exercise will focus on simulated cross-border attacks, missile defense, and the use of drones on modern battlefields. NATO is also using this opportunity to test interoperability between member states, including real-time intelligence sharing, military communication systems, and joint satellite surveillance. One of the main scenarios to be tested is the rapid defense scenario, where US and Polish forces must respond within 48 hours to a simulated Russian attack from the east. In this scenario, the 1st Cavalry Division plays a crucial role as the primary armored force capable of rapid deployment to the conflict zone. In addition to infantry and combat vehicles, the US has also deployed HIMARS air defense systems, artillery tracking radars, and advanced digital communication systems. The Abrams tanks sent to Poland are the latest variant, equipped with active protection systems capable of intercepting anti-tank rockets automatically. Poland has warmly welcomed the arrival of US troops. Polish Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak stated that the presence of the American Cavalry Division is a real guarantee of NATO's protection against Russian threats. With the 1st Cavalry Division on our soil, Polish citizens can sleep more peacefully. We stand with NATO, and we are ready to face anyone who threatens peace in this region.